All right, Bismillah.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters, I pray that Allah, He accepts the fasting of every single one of you today, and He gives you ease to bear the hardship of fasting throughout the rest of the month, inshallah, the month of Ramadan. First, let me appreciate the help of many volunteers and the board members of UICA and all of those donors out there who has been doing a great job feeding the people. I just want to remind every one of you about the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where it states that the person who feeds another person, I'm giving you kind of a summary of that hadith, the person who feeds another person will receive the rewards of forgiveness and will receive all the rewards that the fasting person, meaning the other person, receives for fasting, without that person's rewards being decreased. And the third thing is itqun min an-nar, release from the hellfire. As you know, the believers during the month of Ramadan, they receive that gift from God where they are removed from the hellfire towards the end of the month, in the last 10 days. But a person who feeds the others, regardless whether it is the first day or the 20th day or the last day of Ramadan, he or she is going to receive that blessing throughout any days of the month. Therefore, it is something amazing to provide food for the others, but it is also amazing to help in distributing that food. Ad-dalu ala al-khayri kafa'ilihi. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ mentions that the person who initiates or who helps in fulfilling something that is positive, a good thing, will have the rewards as he himself did it, even though him or her were not the ones to really do it, but they are the initiators, or they are the ones who helped for that to happen. Therefore, they're going to have full rewards. For example, somebody donates, but they're not there to help, so they receive their rewards. But also, the person who is there to help in distributing the food will receive the same rewards as the person who donated received the rewards. So this is definitely a month of opportunities, a month of rewards, and the sky is the limit. Therefore, strive as much as you can during this blessed month to do the most you can. And I know that we are in the days of kind of isolation and physical distancing, which I like to call it, but yet you have many opportunities to do a lot of these khayrat. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you. Let's get it to the topic today. Today we're going to talk about rules of fasting. We're continuing with these episodes, and we're going to end tonight, inshallah. So this will be the last session where we talk about the rules of fasting. And I have chosen today to talk again from Nur al-Idah of Imam Hassan Shurumbulali rahimahullah ta'ala. This is the book translated in the English language for those who are interested. It's a manual in the Hanafi, it's a classical manual in the Hanafi school of law. And we're going to be talking about the fasting of the ill, the fasting of the pregnant women, the fasting of the breastfeeding women, and the fasting of the traveler person. So in the Quran, we repeat these verses often. There's a very, very famous verse, which is kind of repeated twice, as a matter of fact, within a few verses, like one after another, where it says, وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. Any person who is sick, or any person who is a traveler, that person can replace those missed days with other days throughout the year. فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. God wants ease on you, and He does not want to make things difficult on you. when somebody is traveling and fasting at the same time, it could be a great challenge. Or when somebody is sick and fast at the same time, it is a great challenge for sure. Now, it is permissible, the author here says, it is permissible to break one's fast for one who is ill and fears with good reason aggravation in his illness or a delay in his recovery. I'll repeat again. It is permissible to break one's fast for one who is ill, for the person who's sick, and fears with good reason aggravation in his illness or a delay in his recovery. So what do we make out of this? We understand that even if a person is sick, not a lot, but it is, he sees or she sees some signs of a disease or a sickness coming up and increasing more and more, that person doesn't have to fast at that time. For example, let's say somebody who has blood pressure condition and thinks that it is okay for that person to fast as long as he takes the pill early in the morning during the time of sahur, and throughout the day he or she will be okay. And then all of a sudden the person feels that the blood pressure is rising, and he checks the blood pressure, and all of a sudden he sees or she sees that the blood pressure is getting high. Maybe it's not high, but based on his experience or her experience, the person knows that if he or she continues fasting without drinking water, without eating something probably, or without taking the medication, above all of this, the medication, then the person can break the fast. Like I said, even if a person feels that the person is not really, really sick, but sees the first signs of sickness, then the person can break the fast in that matter. A pregnant or nursing woman is permitted to leave the fast if she fears a loss of mind, if she fears death or illness upon herself or child, regardless of the child is her own or a child she nurses. Now again, what are we talking about? We're talking about we have two categories, either a woman who is pregnant or a nursing woman who's breastfeeding somebody. And here, regardless whether it is her own child or it is another child that she's breastfeeding. I know that in America that's not a common example, but it used to be, and it is still the case in many places out there. When the mother is unable to give, breastfeeding to her own child, will send it to somebody else instead of giving the formula milk. In many places they don't prefer to do that, but instead they prefer to have, a person who's going to breastfeed the baby. So if that's the case, then the scholars overall, they have ruled this out. They said, if she fears, whether she is sick or she is not sick, but she knows, she feels, and maybe checks with a doctor. Nowadays, it is very easy to check with the doctors for many of us. All it requires is to go and check, because a lot of, many ladies, they're not all the same when it comes to pregnancy. Some of them, they may have a very easy pregnancy. And if they see that there is they try it, let's say, for example, first day, second day, and they see that, it's not a biggie. Yeah, for sure, there's going to be a headache here and there, a thirst here and there a little bit. I mean, it comes with a package, with a package of fasting. But I'm talking about, feeling more than that, feeling more than the normal feeling of struggling with fasting. And if that's the case, regardless whether they get sick or they don't get sick, if they want to break their fast, they have the permission to do so. So they don't have to continue fasting at that point. So overall, scholars, that's why I said overall, scholars mentioned that this is in their hands. We leave it up to either the nursing women or the pregnant women to make their own decision in that case. But again, their decision has to be based on righteousness. So it has to be a virtuous decision, not a decision, oh, I'm pregnant, it's in my hand whether I want to fast or I don't want to fast. Okay, so I'll choose not to fast. No, it doesn't work like that. That's not a virtuous decision. You know, that is not a virtuous, that is more like a nafsi decision. That's like a carnal self, like, okay, whatever, it's easy for me, you know. So that's something to remember there. Let's continue with the text here. The fear which is considered genuine, allowing one to break his or her fast, is that which is based upon one's predominant belief. Predominant belief. Again, what does it mean, predominant belief? مستندا لغلبة الظن in the Arabic language. مستندا لغلبة الظن. In other words, you are more sure that if you continue fasting, your health is going to deteriorate. And if that's the case, this is the most predominant thought, that you're going to get sicker. If you have the most predominant thought that you're going to be okay, then you must continue fasting. It's not like just an optional. So again, this is the condition right here. مستندا لغلبة الظن. Predominant belief in yourself based on you analyzing the situation, or maybe getting a recommendation from the doctor in that case. That is also something that is, of course, highly recommended if it's possible. Now, it is permitted to break the fast if one suffers unbearable thirst or hunger, in which he fears his demise. So there's a deterioration. You feel that, you know, as you have 3 more hours to go through, you feel so thirsty, you feel like passing out. And I had a brother asking for his wife, who contacted me the first day and said, you know, Imam, my wife, she struggled so much, and she was throwing, you know, she felt like throwing up, or I believe she threw up. You know, we had to break the fast. What is the kafara? I said, there is no need for kafara there. There's no need for expiation. But that, you know, why? Because she didn't voluntarily break the fast without having a condition. She had a condition, therefore she broke the fast. So when somebody has no condition and all of a sudden they decide to break the fast, then they have to give. They have to either fast 60 consecutive days, or they have to, you know, give to 60 people in one day, or feed one person for 60 days, morning and evening meals. Okay, so again, it is permitted for one to break the fast if that person suffers unbearable thirst or hunger in which he or she fears the demise. Now, when we come to the traveler, what is the ruling? Now we understand about the nursing woman and the pregnant woman and also the ill person. What about the traveler? Well, the traveler overall is in his hand or her hand. Whether she wants to fast or not fast, this is in the traveler's hand. However, because the Quran, and this is not our, you know, conclusion in this matter. This is a direct statement from the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِن تَصُومُوا يعني فَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخْرَى. Whoever is sick or is a traveler, then that person can replace those days with other days throughout the year. And then later on it says, وَأَن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. However, if you continue fasting, that is better for you if you really know, if you come to really know. It's like saying, if you really come to know the blessings of that. Right? We don't know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept it secret. So fasting, he says, is for me, and I am the one who rewards the person for this fasting. So he doesn't explain the secrets. He doesn't explain the rewards. Why? In order to surprise you. You know, when somebody wants to give you a very special gift, they don't reveal what that gift is, because they know that you will be so surprised and you will enjoy when you receive that gift. So similarly too, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept the secret, as He kept some other acts of worship too secret, without going into the details of the rewards. So, but He says, وَإِن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ وَإِن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. But if you have the ability, it doesn't say have the ability, but if you fast, this will be better for you. In other words, if you have the ability to fast while you're traveling, if it is not too much upon you, then go ahead and do so, because that is better, He says. Yeah, you're traveling, but hey, it's better for you to fast if you can. If you can, then go ahead and break it. It's in your hands overall. Even if you can and you still decide to break the fast, it is not considered to be haram. It is not considered, you don't have to do kafara or anything like that. You're still okay. You do have that rukhsa. You do have that license with you. You have that permission to break the fast, even if you can fast. Let's say you go from here, from Phoenix to California, it's going to take you 6 hours driving. Hey, you have passed already the limit of being the traveler, you know. Go ahead, and if you want to, go ahead and break it. You're not to be blamed or anything like that. However, since this is a short distance and you have the ability to fast, then go ahead and do so, because this is better. Khayrun lakum, this is better for you if you come to know the real rewards of fasting. All right. Now, Imam Shumbulali here puts a position of many scholars in the Hanafi fiqh, where he says, وَلَا مُشْتَرِكِينَ فِي النَّفَقَةِ. يعني, a person who is traveling with other people should not fast if that person has to share the meal with other people. Meaning that, let's say, for example, you don't have the money and one person is going to pay for everybody else. In order not to put the people in a position like that, not to make people, or not, I mean, nobody's, most of the time, nobody's gonna make the person pay, but you know, you're putting somebody in a position, let's say 3 people, 4 people, out of respect and out of love for the rest of the group, one person will say, you know what, I want to be the one to provide for everybody iftar. Again, when you are traveling, that is a condition when you're traveling. You know, otherwise in other times, it's okay, no problem. But when you're traveling, it is not recommended to fast when you know that the meal is going to be shared by one, like one person is going to cover, or is gonna say, okay guys, let's go ahead and provide for you. I'm gonna provide for you iftar and all of that. وَلَا مُشْتَرِكِينَ فِي النَّفَقَةِ, it says. So this is a condition. However, if there is no gathering together and having one person pay for everybody, then if it is possible, then you all fast, because everybody is going to pay from their own pockets. And as a matter of fact, this is better when you're traveling, that everybody pays from their own pocket. We're not making this as a rule for all the other occasions, but in particularly when you are traveling. Again, not to make it difficult on certain individuals. So not to share the expenses when traveling. Otherwise, if you share the expenses, then forget it. It's better not to fast. Again, so you don't become a load on the others. Now, we're going to close this, inshallah, by talking about a few more things here. And this is about a person who dies before that person has the ability to make up the fasting days. Then what happens? Let's say, for example, somebody was supposed to fast the month of Ramadan, and then all of a sudden he missed last 10 days, and then all of a sudden after that the person gets sick, and then the person was unable to replace those days, and as a result the person passed away. Then what happens? Then he or she needs to leave a wasiyah, needs to tell to his children, to his dependents or her dependents, that I have missed these many days, therefore either fast for me or give the fidya on my behalf. They're both permissible to be given. And again, from what I know, this is not the standard position of the other Islamic schools of law. This is particularly in the Hanafi school of law, where it becomes obligatory that the person, unless the person dies and nobody else knows anything about it, that's a different story, then he is not to be blamed. But if the person gradually, gets sick and then passes away and has the ability to tell the people, you know what, my sons, I missed last Ramadan or 2 Ramadans before, or 5 Ramadans before, I missed 5 days, 10 days, 20 days, whatever the case may be, and I didn't have the opportunity to make them up. Therefore, go ahead and do them for me, or go ahead and pay the fidya on my behalf. That is the right thing to do. And the Hanafi scholars, they argue, they say, the reason is because if we can make Hajj on behalf of our father who has passed away, or on behalf of our mother who has passed away, or on behalf of any person who has passed away for that matter, why shouldn't we have the ability to also make up those days that the person has missed from fasting? So the Imam says right here, if one finds other days in which he can make up the missed days, then he must do so. The person must do so when he regains sound health or after becoming a resident. If, however, he does not make up the days, then he is requiring to leave a will instructing his heirs to redeem the days he was healthy for, or the days he was a resident for. So again, when we're talking about this concept, I have to make a clarification right here. We're not talking about all the days, because if those were the days that he was sick, let's say for example he missed 20 days and then later on he got better, right? And he got better, but he still did not fast those days. I want you to pay close attention to this one. It can be tricky. There's a very fine line here. Again, a person, for example, missed 10 days of Ramadan, and all of a sudden that person became better for 10 days. And then after 10 days, the person passed away. So during those 10 days, he had the ability to make up for those missed days, but he chose not to, thinking that probably he may have time later on to make them up. So now he is somebody from his offspring, or anybody for that matter, is responsible to make up the fasting of that person for all of those 10 days that he missed. But let's say the person missed 10 days of fasting, and then later on he became better for only 5 days. And then another 5 days, the health started going down and down, deteriorating. And then after that, he passed away. So people, should they make up fasting for him for 5 days or for all 10 days? And the answer is for only 5 days. Why? Because it was only a period of 5 days that he was okay. He was doing good, and he could do the fasting. Therefore, for those 5 days, he leaves the wasiyah. He leaves this, he leaves this wasiyah to his, whether, children, and he tells them this is what you do. Or, as I said, can give the fidya. That is also acceptable. Even though the book doesn't go into the details of fidya being also acceptable, but we know that according to the Hanafi school of thought, whether you give the fidya or you have another person fast on your behalf for those days that you were okay, you were healthy, and it was possible for you to fast, then you need to give that out or have the person fast.